3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Queen Stage. We're here to spotlight the athletes, stories, and action in women's cycling, giving the sport the attention it deserves. And we're going to do so with the quality, depth, and personality the sport demands.
I'm Rosael Torres-Davis.
I'm Betsy Welch.
I'm Anna Maria Roque.
And I'm Molly Hurford. Okay, should we just rant because there was a lot of racing,
so much
happening
racing, so much
this
ranting.
week and weekend, and I'm so mad with Flow Sports because it's one of the few apps that you have to actually watch stuff. And then, first of all, were they even putting up highlights for the women's Tour de Suisse? They weren't. Yeah, so I've noticed
Only
that
the men.
This year they have stopped doing highlights for a lot of the women's racing, so they'll cover a lot of the women's races. But then they won't put up highlights. They'll just do it for the men's race. And the other thing is that I don't know if you use their app on the computer or your phone or your iPad, but if you want to, let's say the women's race is over. Let's say it's a Tour de Suisse, right? Or whatever race. It's over.
For example.
And then the men's race is happening on the same day. When you go to watch what's on the schedule, it only says Tour de Suisse. You click on it, it only shows you the men's stuff. And then I'm trying to watch a replay, find the button for the replay, which is impossible to find as well, because it's not, for some reason, the women's race is not in the replay page. It's on a different tab. It has been below the live stream, and it's also not there because they take forever to put it up after the race is over. It's so annoying. On top of the race organizers, which they did a good thing, right? Like Tour de Suisse hit this milestone this year where they added an extra stage going from 4 to 5. And then they are doing the same the men's and women's races on the same day, women's first, men's later. But then the women's race starts so early, at least for us in the United States, and we can't watch it. And it's annoying.
It's early in Europe too.
It's early, and then even if it's over, you can't watch it. You have to wait hours.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. Sorry, go on now.
No,
that was 2
it's
minutes of me ranting.
Oh, totally. In Europe, it's running from, the women's stage started at, their 9 a.m. and finished noonish. It's kind of their, which I don't know if that works for viewership or not over there. I have no idea.
I'm really scared to see the viewership numbers because I think what is going to happen is that most people aren't going to have watched the women's race, because also, side note, like that's now, 8 hours of bike racing that you have to watch every day to follow both races at the same time. And that's a lot for people that have jobs, which means people have to decide whether they want to watch the women's or the men's. And considering the men's is on at the time when most of us are getting on and turning on our TVs, guess which one is probably going to get watched. So while I applaud the tour for trying this new thing, it feels a little bit like equity cosplay is how I'm putting it.
I was trying to look into the new organizer. It's this company called Cycling Unlimited Suisse. And it's a partnership venture between Swiss Cycling, the governing body in Switzerland, a media company, an investment group, some Pro Touch Global, and then Flanders Classic. So they started it like a few years ago. And the CEO is this woman, Gabriela Bux, I think is how you say her last name. And she has an interesting cover story that Sportlerin magazine, that one that I shared before.
I love your deep dive into Swiss women's sports in the last 2 hours.
Niche topic, am I right? I mean, I like niche topics. Just kind of seeing like, who's in charge. Because I like to always know who's making these decisions of like, is this coming from a place of, hey, they're trying something new, we should give them credit. This was rough start, and long-term goals, are they going to take from this and learn from this? We don't know yet, but kind of looking how they're coming at it, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt here. And I'm a silly optimist on darn near everything. So I'm always like, well, maybe they just needed to see how it goes and they'll take this feedback and next year will be something even better. And I hope so.
I hope so. And I mean, looking at their website, the homepage, I would say actually does a good job of having a lot of stuff about the women's race. It's very prominent. Side note, we talked about this for the Giro. Is it the Tour de Suisse Women, Femmes, Donna, Frau? I don't know. I think technically it's women, but I've seen femmes all over the place too.
Listen, well, Switzerland, right?
Many
they
languages.
speak multiple languages. I think they are allowed to get away with most languages, maybe except Spanish or something like that. Because Italian, German, and what else do they
French.
speak over there? French.
French, and then I
Yeah.
think English is
And English.
acceptable.
Well, their
Probably.
name, Tour de Suisse. I guess tour comes from French, right? And Tour de, so that's French. Suisse is Swiss how you say Switzerland and
Yeah,
French,
Suisse.
English,
Yes.
or not English,
French for sure.
But it's not late. It's not late tour, right? So that's why I think it's not.
Yeah, right. And then
Oh man, lots of ranting,
Yeah,
lots to cover
okay.
today, even beyond the Tour de Suisse. But should we get going? We should get going.
yeah, we should get going.
This
Let's
episode
do
is
it.
presented by SRAM, a longtime supporter of women's cycling and the technology behind some of the fastest bikes in the peloton. SRAM is powering this Tour de Suisse Women's recap, and they will also be supporting us during our coverage of the upcoming Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift in August. This is Queen Stage. I'm Molly Hurford here with Rosael Torres-Davis and guest host Shawn Small of Ruckus Composites. Welcome,
Yeah.
everybody.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, Shawn. Also, Shawn is
Hey.
the creator of Queen Stage, for those who don't
Crazy,
know
right?
that. And
Made my own
crazy,
sh-
right?
made my own
If you're
t-shirts.
watching on YouTube, please watch because he's wearing our Queen Stage shirt, which is very
And a little
awesome.
sneak preview. Molly hasn't seen these. We made these little
Ooh.
Queen Stage musettes.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. A
Yeah,
musette
I just
is
got
the
'em.
perfect bag. Like,
Thank you. I agree.
Yeah,
I love them.
it is. Yeah, I have
Truly.
quite a few. There's some good designs out there.
We should have a show your musette day because, I also
Ooh.
have a weird stockpile.
Oh, I'm sure
I like
Rook must have some really good
Rook's
ones,
definitely
right?
got good ones.
Hot take:
Alright.
is Rook a hoarder? Maybe I don't know. You think she has too many?
She might be like a hoarder of that and cycling caps. I would
Exactly.
probably
She has a lot of
say
cycling
yes.
caps. That's true. But yeah. All right. Well, before we talk about Tour de Suisse Women, which wrapped up today, like I said in the little cold open that we did earlier, it used to be 4 days long. Now it is 5 days long, which is a huge milestone for the race. And they're throwing each stage the same day as the men's. And they have similar start and finishes. It's just the women's races are going to be a little shorter per UCI regulations. But yeah, over the last 5 days, the peloton covered 459 kilometers, climbing 7,000 meters of elevation. And the organizers put out a pretty balanced route that included 2 punchy days, a stage for the sprinters, an individual time trial, and then a brutal final mountain stage that held almost half of the race's total climbing in that last stage. So let's go into how the race was won.
Actually, I'm curious. Did you look into this? And I know they said it was shorter stages because of the UCI regulations, but none of those stages came even close to being the maximum for women's stages. Like,
No,
the
they were
Giro certainly had
were
like
short.
100-mile stages. So
Yeah, but you know what? Like without doing a proper comparison of like year to year and how long each stage was, I wouldn't want to do any hot takes or heavy criticism on the promoters for that because they already added one stage. So and there's also, the women's calendar just keeps growing slowly. So I think it's maybe about being thoughtful and doing sustainable growth year after year. So yeah, if we're adding one more stage, let's not also make each stage as long as it could possibly be per regulation.
I would have
And-
loved to just see the men's race actually have the same length stage as I would have loved to see exactly the same length for the men's.
Listen,
Because
I would like men's race to be shorter
Shorter.
in general.
Shorter.
Listen, as a spectator sport, I feel it should be shorter. I cannot spend 4 hours in front of the television, watching a race. So, but yeah, this is
And
not
during
a
the
men's
summer.
podcast, a men's cycling podcast. So let's
Well,
go
what
on.
was good, what the promoters did is they made sure the women had all the major climbs. They didn't cut any of the climbs. So
Yes.
they just kind of cut out some of the transfer time,
Yeah. Oh, wait, and another rant for FloBikes, at least so the coverage that they had was some FloBikes was Canada only, right? So the
No, it's
US really had no way of watching this other than highlights on YouTube. So on YouTube, you could find some things, maybe not in the English language. But then another rant that I have to bring up before we dive in is that they'll have one commentator for the whole coverage.
So
And
hard.
shout
So
out
hard.
to Jose Bean, for doing that work, which is not easy. Being a commentator, for starters, is not easy, even if you have 1, 2, 3 people with you on the booth. Doing it by yourself, it's so hard. It's so hard. And also it makes you perceive the race as if it wasn't exciting enough. You know what I mean? Like, because unfortunately, it does affect how, as a viewer, you perceive the race. And it's like, it's weird when I read a race recap and on paper it sounds more exciting than what I listened and watched on the TV. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I
Many.
completely agree. So many thoughts.
Yeah,
it's one of the things I wrote down about watching the coverage of it, because the announcer has no choice but to sort of go off on these long monologues about random things just to fill time gaps. And it's so hard. You can't ask for like, oh, hey, do you know anything about this racer? It's relying entirely on one person. And when you have one person, that person can't be looking anything up, right? At least when, for example, on this show, if one of us asks a question, the other one can actually be Googling it while we keep the conversation rolling. So it is such a hard job. Kudos to the announcers doing that. But yeah, it makes for a kind of crappy viewing experience. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, and then,
Yeah, it's terrible.
they take the highlights away of the women's race. Their website has some issues, like user-friendliness issues when trying to find content that just wrapped up and that kind of thing. And then, it's probably a budget thing. They're only using one commentator. And then, it's just annoying because then they'll be, oh, nobody watches women's racing. And it's like, well, like, you're not putting good quality coverage of women's racing.
That's a good example of why we started this podcast, to give it the
Exactly.
coverage it
Yeah.
deserves.
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely. I tell you, this was a bad week for FloBikes to hit me with the annual subscription charge, because I was
my God, I
not
know.
pleased about that.
No,
What is it,
then
140?
At
Oh,
least
God,
we could
I
watch Road
wish.
Nationals,
Oh, is it more than that?
which was exciting.
I think it's like $240 Canadian. I mean,
Really?
granted, Canadian.
Yeah, no, we
But-
can't. I don't know how those conversions work. I don't know what that means.
Still expensive in the US, but I think it's that's probably like $170 US.
Oh, really? I've hit up
170, 180.
FloBikes numerous times as saying, hey, let us commentate.
Call us if you're
Listen.
listening.
Let us
We know people.
commentate, because we want. I don't know how great of a job we'll do. It's very different to do completely live stuff, but it'll be better than just one lonely commentator
More fun.
there. Yeah, and you know what? The comment sections will always criticize commentators and all that, but you know what? I don't read the comment sections. Haha.
Take that. And actually, I have done commentary for Flo in the past, like
Really?
years ago. I did some cyclocross stuff with them, yeah. And it's not easy, but it is really fun to do, especially when you have a fun co-host. I had a blast. So definitely a difficult job, but a doable one.
Yeah. All right, Molly, should we jump into stage 1 of Tour de Suisse?
Yeah, we should. Let's go through Tour de Suisse first, and then let's get on to like the other topics we have for today,
Yeah.
because
There's a lot.
there's a lot.
Stage 1 was 103 kilometers long. The first part of the race was pretty flat, and then all of the climbing, there were like 4 different climbs that were at the end, but it wasn't really like a huge climber stage. It was a day for the breakaway. The stage was won by Visma Lisa bike rider Femke de Vries. She took the sprint against Eilish Lauren Dixon of FDJ United Suisse on the demanding course in Sondrio, taking her first professional victory. And Cédrine Kerbaol was 3rd place. She races for EF Education only, and we note her well from some great performances at the Tour de France Femme and other races. A breakaway, including Jasmine Liachi of the Swiss national team, tackled the climb before Urška Žigart of AG Insurance Sudal attacked. Over the top, a trio of Žigart, Dixon, and Debris broke clear. And shortly afterwards, debris attacked on the descent and dropped Žigart. Dixon fought hard and bridged across debris around 15 kilometers from the finish. Then the two riders arrive in the closing kilometers with a comfortable lead. And Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney of Canyon-SRAM Santa Crypto raised the pace in the back on the final climb, blowing the Chase group apart. Debris and Dixon held on to their advantage all the way to the line. In the closing meters, Debris forced her companion to do the pulling and had the better legs in the sprint.
The good news is we're not going to have to say Zonda Crypto for much longer, because I think it's just till the end of this month that we technically have to read.
It? Okay, cool.
Yeah, also like
less
cryptocurrency,
crypto.
please. Like less crypto in cycling. It never ends well. It never ends
seriously.
well.
That doesn't start well.
So this was like a huge, huge moment for Femke de Vries. This is like a big result for her, especially with Kasia Niewiadoma right there.
Also, again, surprised that with women's racing being so short still, I'm still surprised when they let these moves go away. In a stage that a GC rider could put time, because even though it's not categorized as a climber's stage, those last climbs at the end, I think you could have made a difference. But yeah, let's see how the race continued.
Agreed, yeah. Well, unfortunately, while I was very excited for de Vries on stage 1, stage 2, she did not have nearly as good a day. It seemed like she was going to. It seemed like she was going to be able to defend the yellow jersey. But in the final 7 or 8 kilometers or so, she fell right off the back in one of the last climbs of the race. She was in the lead group along with Elisa Longo Borghini, who went on to win the stage. 105 kilometer circuit around Locarno. Again, really just that kind of back and forth early start to the stage, nothing to really write home about. It was really just the last 15K of that stage where it got super, super exciting. Elisa Longo Borghini, along with Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney, Marlen Reusser, and Femke de Vries, they're away. Suddenly, Femke just kind of blows up on that climb, right before they hit the descent too. So still not sure if something happened or she just didn't have the legs after that first day. She said she hadn't been able to sleep the night before that stage, probably just like the excitement of winning a stage, the pressure of winning the stage. But there were 2 big news stories out of stage 2. Number 1, 2.5 kilometers to go. The course is not well marked. And Reusser and Niewiadoma-Phinney take a wrong turn. Actually, they don't take a wrong turn. They go straight. While Sarah Van Dam, Canada's next great hope, takes the left-hander that she's supposed to take, following Elisa Longo Borghini, who's powering away to the finish.
Yeah, to be fair, there was somebody marking the course with a flag. It happens. Like, unfortunately, we've seen this kind of thing happen. At least they realized it right away, did a U-turn, and turn around.
It's true. It was probably about 25-30 seconds by the time they had that U-turn, had to weave through a bunch of cars and stuff. And you're right. To be fair, there was a guy. But when I watched the men's race in the final 3 kilometers, different course, slightly different finish, but every corner of that one was lined with people basically making it impossible to not take the correct turn. Like, you had to follow the course in the men's race. The women's race, there was literally like a chute that you would just kind of go straight. And if you did have your head down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you're right. And also, like, maybe the guy who was pointing at the road, he could have stood right in the middle of the road. I don't know, it's hard to tell without being physically there, but come on, let's some tape, just some more staff, like, tell fans to stand here.
Little
so
piece of tape.
Obvious. Yeah.
A tape.
Yeah.
Look, I had to mark a course the other week for a 5K run. And when I tell you that every possible wrong turn you could maybe accidentally take, we taped off for a 30-person casual run in the woods, you'd think we could mark this better.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the notes I put with 2K to go, I was like, are they getting on a highway that has trucks actively driving on it? I want to know about the road closures that are happening for this race, because it seemed kind of terrifying. I was like, are they taking the wrong turn again? Because it's just like the helicopter shot of them just going on a highway, and in the other lane, there's like transport trucks. What is happening here? And that wasn't even the scariest part of the course. Then we get into the final kilometer where there's just road bumps. And when we talk about road bumps, we're talking about bumps that like a BMX kid would just be doing little hops off of.
Yeah.
Terrifying. And unfortunately, as it turns out, dangerous. We didn't see it in the actual footage that was shown from the race, but we saw footage of it afterwards. Urška Žigart had a horrific crash. Just so bad. She hit one of these road bumps, just went down. So scary. I believe she broke her jaw, which seems like the most painful thing in the world. Also
meaning that she hit the pavement with her head,
her
face. And also, you know, people forget hitting this part of your face can also give you a concussion.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, all of this is your head. Like your face, it's in your head.
As it turns out.
But people forget that. And it's just like, and she also, on top of that, she probably has a concussion as well and a broken jaw.
They did say that.
Yeah.
You know who did a really good breakdown, kind of calling back to our previous Giro episode, was Aiden.
Aiden
awesome
Burgess. Yeah, if you don't follow him already, Aiden Burgess and his bike, on Instagram, he did a really good, and he did a follow-up reel about explaining or arguing with some of the people who left some nasty comments and sexist comments on his first video, explaining the crash. But yeah, everybody go give him a follow and check out.
Because once you see those slow motion image, you know, when I first saw the crash, you're like, well, you know, helicopter view, you don't see it, but those side slow-mos, you're like, that's a straight up jump. You know what I mean? Especially at a full speed sprint of, who knows, 30, 40 miles an hour. You're like, you can't not get air.
100%, yeah. And we talked about this before we hit record. Yes, there was maybe someone standing there kind of like waving at it. But like when you're sprinting with other people around you, you are not paying attention to like dude bro with a flag.
On the side. Going.
On the side.
Hey, over here. Hey, over here. Hey, bump.
Yeah. Like there's a better way to do these bumps. Like we can build stuff over them if we have to. We can reroute if we have to. But this should be hopefully a note for next year's course design to not have these bumps in, especially not the final like kilometers.
Yeah.
Other side note, not to give her boyfriend more airtime than he's already gotten, but Urška's boyfriend, Tadej Pogačar, was also racing in the men's Tour de Suisse that day. And I'd say every headline I saw about her crash was largely about the fact that he then skipped his post-race interview to go to the hospital with her. I'm just always a little annoyed when...
Yeah, no, I'm annoyed by the whole thing, too. It's like, why all of a sudden cycling is treating these stories as if they were tabloids?
Tabloids, yeah.
Because like, oh, should Pogačar, should he continue racing after hearing about Urška's crash and all that? And the only positive I see is that maybe the UCI and the race promoters will take the safety concerns maybe more seriously because she's a high-profile rider due to her relationship with Pogačar. But yeah, there's a lot of silliness going on around this relationship. But it's nice to hear that I think she has some pretty good boundaries when it comes to interviews where she will tell reporters that she won't talk about her relationship, period. And I really
they seem
that.
Like a really healthy, fun, supportive couple.
Totally. Yeah. I just wish that the headlines about her didn't have to include him.
I know.
Yeah.
Sort of like that a couple weeks ago when it was like NFL wife Simone Biles almost dies headline that got a lot of...
Listen, at that point with Simone Biles, like internationally recognized gymnast, Olympian, like you're just poking the bear because you're doing it for the clicks and to get a reaction out of people. So I don't know. Sorry, that's sensationalism. So
Agree. All right. Moving into stage 3. Shawn, I feel like you're really excited about this. Your headline is... Are you going to say it?
Oh, but one more thing. Longo Borghini, like that was a really good race for her. And I'm so glad to see her really active. And I hope she can carry this form.
After finishing the Giro, right? Of like hearing how sick she was and kind of just, I don't know if she was depressed, but you know, I don't think she was, but just saying how hard she's been out for a while. in hearing that story, but
Also,
hearing
you know
her
what?
return is fantastic.
Somebody we haven't mentioned yet, and I know we will in a couple of minutes, but just looking at the top 5 of stages 1 and 2, it's just really cool to see Kim LaCourte there
Oh, yeah.
on the first stage, she was 4th place behind Cédrine Kerbaol. And then on stage 2, she finished 6th place ahead of Kasia, Niewiadoma, and Marlen Reusser.
Mhm.
Little
This this
preview
season,
there.
this season feels like injury like hopscotch, right? One
Yeah.
rider comes back, another one goes down. It's been
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's another injury we have to talk about. So Shawn, take stage 3 of this.
All right, stage 3 was they tried to find the only flat roads in Switzerland, which I'm sure is a challenge, being Switzerland. So it's kind of a loop, so it started in Bad Ragaz, as I've tried to pronounce that and find how to say that. But, 120-kilometer stage starting there and coming back there. So it should have been for the sprinters. It's kind of their only day for it. They still had to tackle 1,100, 1,200 feet of elevation. Meters. So almost 4,500 feet of elevation as they kind of go out. One big category 3 climb, dead center. They didn't want to make it easy though. So naturally, kind of like all these stages, there's a break that's going hard and going early. And Megan Ahrens went on a solo flyer, and then 7 people bridged up to her. And one of the biggest people to jump in there was Kim LaCourte, Pinar. And, it's so excellent to see her back because she is such a strong rider and kind of an all-arounder. You're maybe not the best mountain stage, but you throw her at anything else, and she's a threat. And it just seems like with mountain bike background, she's kind of can do it all. Take a sprint stage if she, maybe not the best sprinter, but could easily still win out of a group. And so at that point, Elisa Longo Borghini was still in yellow. So UAE had to do the work and make sure that didn't get too far out. Times are still pretty tight. There's still a time trial coming up. So, a lot can happen. So UAE moved up front, started swarming the front, pulling. And then eventually, the sprinter teams were like, hey, we should probably get up there too if we actually want to sprint with our sprinters. So Canyon-SRAM moved up, Human Powered Health, which is great to see them in the mix again. And, they've had a kind of a quiet season, but a couple big results. So excellent to see them moving up. So we saw near the end, a late solo move by Lauren Asensio, I think is her name, and 15K, but Peloton was coming for her. It got tense, it got narrow, it got twisty. There was a bad crash. In the last 5K, took some riders out, and no one lost any time.
No, I think actually Lauren Dixon did lose time there, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, it was like 3.7. She was just outside like the 3K.
That safety.
The safety zone, and she was the one that was in the points jersey going into it. So
and
bad
sadly
news bears for her.
And had to abandon. Now, I haven't seen any follow-up on her. She was phenomenal in the Giro. And, has just, every rider on FDJ has been skyrocketing this year. And she's kind of one that you're like, wow, she is on fire. But as we were kind of after that crash, Kasia actually came to the front and put in a pretty big effort for her teammate, Zoe Backstead, who is, their sprinter for the team, I think, in this arrangement. And, there's no big sprinters here today in the Suisse Tour or Tour de Suisse. So Kasia did a massive pull for her. And then Zoe just kind of jumped a little early, but got a jump on everybody and came across the line solo, and phenomenal victory for her. So
that was exciting. And Lily Williams got second place. And I wouldn't say like Lily Williams is like a top sprinter, but she is getting up there. She's getting up there. So that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, do we think Human Powered Health is going to be going for? I think they're going to be going for a stage win at the Tour de France Femmes. Like, that's my prediction.
I mean, they should. They really should.
I mean, we saw Petra Stiassny just dominate a climb, and you're like, well, there's a few climbs in the Tour de France Femme.
She needs to just be on every breakaway, like like certain riders did last year. That seems to work. Yeah.
She's got to be the Franzi cock but the one that like actually does make it to the finish line.
Yeah, or like a mob squeebing. But that was a great win for Zoe Baxted, because also Canyon-SRAM has not been winning a lot this season. Zoe has been waiting for a win like this long time. So really well received
season. You know, hasn't had many big wins, but I feel like she's ratcheted up from like top 10s now to top 5s and is in the mix and ready to go.
Yeah, no, she was 5th in Tour of Flanders, 4th in Dwars van Vlaanderen. And I'm just looking at her results here, she has done really well in individual time trials before, which can lead us into stage 4.
Yeah, well, and I mean, we know Kasia is probably leaving Canyon-SRAM, so I think is Zoe going to be the new?
Is that confirmed, by the way?
I was just going to say, I
is
haven't
going
heard
to
that in a
Little
while.
Track, because I wonder if she's going to Movistar, and I'll tell you why in a bit.
Yeah, still,
I have questions
still
on that
unclear.
too.
Yeah, I think that kind of like that rumor was really big for a little while, and then just kind of quieted down amongst all of the Zonda crypto drama. So still to be determined, but I would say, yeah, Canyon-SRAM is going to be kind of searching, and I think it's going to be between Zoe and Niedermeyer. Yeah. So anyway,
looks phenomenal. I mean, she's not here, but like Giro, yikes, she was.
Oh yeah,
forced to be reckoned with.
It's almost like they're auditioning a little bit. So we'll see. That. We'll see. Then on to stage 4, and I was excited because this one was finally. You know, I complained about the Giro's time trial. I'll be honest, I didn't love an uphill time trial. I don't think it's a proper time trial. This one, very much a time trial. Almost 24 kilometers. Really not much climbing to speak about. The thing to speak about, though, is Marlen Reusser is back. You know, I felt for her in the Giro. She obviously lost that time. I mean, she was second in that time trial.
Well, you know, and by the way, what an amazing time trial is, just doing so well in a very flat time trial in such a hilly time trial like we saw at the Giro.
It's true.
Yeah.
So
wait, what, Molly? Why don't you like a hilly time trial?
Oh, I think time trial, they're designed to be flat and use the like aero equipment and all this stuff. And whenever you have a time trial that's like, oh, which bike should we use? I think we've gotten a little far from what a time trial is supposed to be. Save those for like the climbers. Let the time trialists have their day.
I mean, I like a variety. I like a variety.
Yeah, I like a variety. I like the hilly ones because everyone does something weird. You know what I mean? It's like aero bars on a road bike, disc wheel road bike, and then you're like,
I do like that because I think it humanizes the riders a lot. Like it makes them really relatable to be. Oh, you also struggle to know which tire and wheel and setup to take for this event, and you make decisions the day off after you see what other people are riding, and that feels so. Oh, okay. So sometimes it's like decisions have to be made like that too.
Fair. I just figured we get so many mountain stages in tours where the riders are separated on the climbs anyway. That to me, watching that is just
you're allowed to not like time trials. There's a lot of stuff I don't like about.
Yeah, I barely like. To be clear, I don't even really like time trials. Like I said it. There we go. So,
what I like about them is that there's nowhere to hide. It's just like a very clear test of strength that we don't get to see very often.
Yeah, the flat ones, you know, to kind of argue against my own point, the flat ones at least allow the specialist to take over. Now with, you know, Marlen is a time trial specialist, but she's also a GC rider versus like the Ellen Van Dyke era, right? Where you're like monster truck on the classic races, but time trial. You know, she's not going uphill. I mean, she could, obviously, but, you know what I mean? She was.
But anyway, it was an exciting time trial. Do you want to get into it a little more?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Marlen Reusser, movie star, took the win by 11 seconds over Zoe Baxted. I mean, phenomenal result for Zoe as well.
Yeah, I was impressed. That was so impressive after winning the day before to, you know, to race in the yellow jersey and almost keep it. Amazing.
Yeah. And then we've got 2 Lidl Trek riders in the top 10. We have Loos Adagist and Femke de Vries. So Femke did kind of come back around. She was still a minute 12 down. So this was not like the most phenomenal time trial in the world for her, but I mean, top 9, pretty good. And just, I mean, good to see Lidl Trek just like getting back in the mix. I've got high hopes for them again. Also really excited to see Francie Koch in 4th. I feel like we haven't said her name in like weeks on this show.
Since she won Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah. Like, did she take an extended break? Do we know?
I think she earned a break.
She earned a break. Yeah, totally fair. And I literally, before I started writing the show notes on like Thursday, I was like, where has Francie Koch been? And I was like, oh, thank God she's here. Okay. Sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Elisa Longo Borghini in 5th. So she was a minute 4 down. So really, Zoe was the only one that came close to Marlen's time with 11 seconds. After that, it was a steep drop off. 3rd place was 54 seconds down. So Marlen just cut above the rest here. Zoe right there behind her. And that put Marlen into the yellow jersey heading into stage 5. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't think she was going to keep it. What were your predictions, both of you, heading into stage 5? What did you think?
It was close, right? What was her time gap? Only a few seconds, right?
Yeah, and with such a big climbing stage, I knew I know she's a GC rider in addition to time trial, but I just did not see her having the climb. I thought Elisa Longo Borghini was gonna get back to her.
I mean, it was
and
only 11 seconds. Elisa Longo Borghini was behind in the GC after stage 4. Yeah, I think after seeing how bright Elisa has been racing since the Giro, I thought she still had a chance.
It's tough. They both just did the Giro and kind of had a rough Giro, right? I mean, Demi and Anna van der Breggen and Niedermeyer and Isabel Honker were just turning the screws on those two, and they're both coming back from injury or sickness. So it's kind of like I feel like they're kind of at parity almost.
Yeah, which actually, just before we go into stage 5, that was surprising to me that Marlen Reusser was even racing this race. I know she's won it 2 times before, so like I get wanting to come back, but this is a bold
I want to
get
into that a little bit because I forget she was dealing with some injuries, like
serious ones.
Yeah. Let's see. So she had a fracture. She fractured her back at Tour of Flanders in April. And then earlier in February, she crashed at the UAE Tour, which resulted in knee injuries, finger lacerations, and shoulder trauma. And I that happened, so long ago, considering how far we are in the season and how close the Tour de France Femme feels. But yeah, like she was, even though, as I'm going to get into, she ended up winning the stage and winning the Tour de Suisse Women overall. Her post-race interview was very interesting, but I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, basically, stage 5, it was 100 kilometers long, and it featured 3 laps of Col de la Croix with the start-finish line halfway up the climb. So it was an interesting stage because if you look at the profile, you start climbing right away. You're going to pass the finish line where you're going to end, finishing after 100 kilometers. So it was pretty chaotic from the gun, and there was a haute couture non-categorized climb. So early on, Megan Ahrens.
Sorry, did you just call it a haute couture categorized climb?
Tell me that I haute couture. How do you say it?
Ors category.
Ors category.
But
oh my god,
I love this mistake. This is the fashion journalism background in both of us.
I like that.
In there, the Ors category, it's not made by hand, entirely by hand. That's not how it is.
The mountain maybe, I don't know.
No, it's beyond category, Ors category climb. But yeah, anyway, so early on in the race, Megan Aarons of Team Picnic Post NL attacked the peloton to snatch the maximum queen of the mountain points on the first pass. And then Francie Cox also went on a massive solo flyer, building up over a minute lead at one point. But the big guns were not gonna let her stay away,
Wait, can I just
knowing what
interject
she's
that
capable of. Sure.
this is Francie's already doing what Francie needs to do? Because remember last year in the tour, she's like, breakaway, breakaway, breakaway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
look, she's giving us a little teaser of what she's ready for, and we're here for it.
Well, you have to train the efforts, right? If we'll see how well it works at the tour. Now that people kind of know that's her move, but you do have to train that kind of effort at race pace to know what you have to work on, and how far you can go on your own. Anyway, the big move came around 50 kilometers out, when the race completely exploded the second time up the Col de la Croix. Femke de Vries of Visma, who won stage 1, launched a massive attack that split the leading group, and she locked down the Queen of the Mountain jersey for herself. But then she brought with herself some serious company, bringing Marlen Reusser, Kasia Niewiadoma, and Megan Aarons. Meanwhile, Elisa Longo Borghini, who started the day just 10-11 seconds behind in the overall standing, she kind of cracked and ended up losing 3 minutes and fell off the DC podium. As they flew down the descent, Cédrine Kerbaol managed to bridge her way up to the front group, but by the time they hit the final slopes with 5 kilometers to go, Niewiadoma-Phinney started throwing down incremental attacks and managed to drop debris and Kerbaol, but Reusser was glued to her wheel the entire time. Further back, Kim Lecourt was flying up the mountain, putting an incredible chase to try and catch the leaders. Then into the final kilometer, Kerbaol somehow clawed her way back to the front duo, but Reusser wasn't having it, and Cédrine attacked, but Marlen countered with a massive solo surge, opening up a gap that no one could close. Reusser crossed the line solo to take her second stage win of the week and officially wrap up her third home GC title in Switzerland, and Kerbaol won the sprint for second in the stage, bumping her up to second place overall, while Niewiadoma-Phinney took third, which also put her in the podium in third place. And that was really great recovery from Niewiadoma, because she did not win anything, she did feature, she was up there, but on the last day, on the hardest day of the race, managing to take more time and get into third spot in the podium. Pretty cool.
Same for Cédrine Kerbaol, right?
Yeah,
she
also
was
great.
also total sleeper for the whole race, I would say. And then, not that she wasn't in the mix, but I mean, I don't think we really mentioned her for the first 4 stages.
I did mention her, I think, on earlier.
She did well in the
1.
time trial. Yeah, she's one of my favorite riders just because she kind of is as you said, a little bit of a sleeper, but in there. And then when she's on it that day, it's same thing with, her teammate Valieris. They're just when they're on it, no one can touch them. Or they're both amazing descenders. I think Cédrine's the best in the peloton, in my opinion. And she's crazy. I like to think of her as Cannonball Kerbaol is how I've named her in my head.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, right.
Nice.
I like her Kerbaol. Kerbaol. She has the last name I like saying when you try to say it correctly. No, that was exciting. But going back to what I mentioned about Marlen Reusser, because in her interview, it was a strange interview. Let me know if you saw it. Let me know what you think. It was hard to figure out what emotions she was going through. If I couldn't tell if she was going through positive or negative emotions. It was probably a mix of both. For a second, I was like, is she not happy that she won Tour de Suisse? But when the question arrived, no, she did say that this was one of the best wins, out of the 3 times she has won the race. I think I understand a little better now. I think it is one of the most special because she had to overcome all those injuries earlier this spring and put a lot of work. And then, racing this season has not been easy. Her rivals are not just Demi Vollering and Kasia. It's a bunch of other people now much younger than her who are making racing very difficult. But anyway, she sounded like she was still concerned about the injuries that she had, but still impressed that she was able to put the performance she did regardless of those injuries. And it gives you information about yourself, about where other people in the peloton are at, knowing that you were not feeling that great and you're still able to win the race. And yeah, she definitely has her sights set on the Tour de France Femme. She was talking about it a lot, and I think maybe what she's worried about is like, how is my knee gonna feel? How is my shoulder gonna feel in the Tour de France, which will be a longer race?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what she was thinking about. Like, this is day 5 of a stage race, right? That I'm using to prep for the Tour de France Femme, and this is how I feel today. If this race was 4 days longer, I would be losing the yellow jersey tomorrow. I think maybe that's what she was thinking about, which is just so, I don't know. It's not exactly grounded, but she's definitely very focused on what the big goals for the year are.
I love her in an interview because she's so candid, almost to like pretty harsh. And you're kind of saying you can't tell if she was positive or negative. I'm like, you just won. Like,
Yeah.
I would be pumped. I don't win anything. So it's like, holy crap, winning something, the stage and the GC. Like, she's hard on herself. I imagine
she's hard. And also, but it's impressive because it shows a lot of focus. That she's like, I just finished this race, I won it. She's assessing how her body feels. She's assessing how the race went down, and she's assessing what's in front of her in a month and a half. I would say obviously we would like her to see her enjoy the moment a little bit more, but also a lot of respect, because it always shocks me that with all the body fatigue and pain that after crossing the line, it's so easy to just start celebrating, but to stay in the game and be like already analyzing your performance. I don't know.
Pros and cons, right? Like, that's definitely just like a certain personality type, right? Like, some people do that very well and continue to be successful. Other people kind of crumple because they do that. And I'd say she's the kind of person that can do that in like a very like stoic sort of way, where it's just the facts. She's totally fine with it. And this is like what she's going to have to work on and figure out.
Oh, yeah.
It actually reminds me when I was talking to G. Schreurs, who got second at Unbound, she was saying sort of the same thing. Like, she was unhappy with that result. Like, when she crossed the line, like, you should be stoked about second at Unbound. But like, she was like, well, should I have won? Like, what could I have done differently? Like, how, what's the rest of my season going to look like? And it's not that she thinks that she's a bad racer or like not fit or that there's like a problem. Just there are racers that this is just how they function, is like kind of always looking at the like, okay, what's next? What can I do? What can I do better? What should I have done better? Right?
So the final GC, right, for Tour de Suisse Women was Marlen Reusser. Cédrine Kerbaol was second. Kasia Niewiadoma was third. Fourth place, Kim Lecourt. Fifth place, Femke de Vries. Very good performances there. And sadly, Elisa Longo Borghini just lost more time, like we mentioned before, and she dropped to 9th place. So still in the top 10.
Yeah, and she's, we're kind of going into a little bit of a break period for her, where everyone's going to kind of go back to their training caves or wherever they do elevation, I'm sure, or altitude, and like really start getting after it. One interesting thing, I was looking at the results for the youth jersey winner, and Cédrine Kerbaol won, and I was like, wait, how old is she? And she's 25. And I'm like, wait, why is this wrong? But apparently for the Tour de Suisse, their youth age goes all the way up to 25.
Huh.
I don't know why. Weird, right?
You know what we didn't talk about with this race, and this is maybe going to get us into some of our other race stuff that we want to talk about, is the heat was a huge factor in this race. So Europe is having a pretty massive heat wave, and a lot of the riders, Elisa Longo Borghini in particular, talked about the heat being a major factor, especially in that last stage. Climbing that those exposed climbs, just like, I think they were saying the temperatures were in the high 30s Celsius, which is smoking hot in Fahrenheit. So yeah, rough week to be out racing. Really rough week to be out riding. Should we mention Lael here?
Rough week to be trying to break a record. But yeah, Shawn, do you want to tell us a little bit about Lael?
Yeah. So as of this morning, here in North America, last night happened, Lael decided to pull out of her around the world attempt, mainly due to pretty severe heat exhaustion on her part. She wrote that she was pretty sick and kind of puking and just couldn't keep her body temperature down. And that is red alert that something serious is about to happen. And I've had heat exhaustion before. It is
Mhm.
not something to mess with.
No,
And she's
it's
been
not.
struggling through it since she got to landed in Portugal. It's just been crazy hot. It's kind of being Queen Sage is one of her sponsors, if our
Yeah.
audience didn't know. And so we keep pretty close tabs on what Lael's up to. And, it's been almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit or above. And they're just going through mountains and mountains of ice. And, it's the right call. And,
Yeah.
Lael made a good comment of just like, are around the world attempts not possible like this anymore just because of climate change and severe weather?
Yeah. No, I see it. And also it's hard. It's a hard decision to make, but they looked at the weather for the days ahead,
Yeah, it's
because I'm
bad.
sure she could maybe take a day off or half a day off and see. But the thing is, like, once you start getting symptoms of heat exhaustion, it's very hard to reel them back. Like, it takes hours, even if you're just experiencing very mild heat exhaustion. And I'm sure they did the math and they say, like, even if you were to restart tomorrow feeling 100%, you have, she wants to break the record. She doesn't want to just ride around the world for fun another time. So it was, yeah, she had to do it, and it's very serious. You could die out there if you keep
Yeah.
riding with heat exhaustion. Yeah.
And I think we were kind of texting about this, the professional athlete mentality is understanding what your actual goal is. And like you just said, Rosael, her goal was to set that the overall record. She already has the women's record. She wanted to set the overall record. That wasn't going to be possible with the circumstances she was in. So at that point, it makes perfect sense to stop racing, both for health and because like the toll that around the world takes on your body, regardless of whether or not it's hot. Like, live to race another day, right? Like, she can go
Yeah.
home and be recovered in a couple weeks versus continue to gut this out, not get the record, and then be down for the count for, 8 months recovering from it.
Yeah, I would love to talk to her about that, because something that we don't talk about a lot about in sport is that how athletes prepare for things not going their way. And I think even in amateur racing, when
Hmm.
people are getting started, it's not something that we talk about. And I think it's things that you have to practice, like the same way riders in gravel at Unbound practice how to do the pit stop so they can like get their stuff in and out as quickly as possible. I think you have to think about, like, how are you going to react when XJC happens? How are you going to react when you have a flat? How are you going to react
Mhm.
when you have an impossible problem that you can't fix and you didn't think about? um and it's a lot of risk assessment too, especially when you're doing more extreme sports. I feel like free, like mountain climbers, like, are very familiar with this, where you're constantly assessing risk, because it's so easy to make a bad decision just because you are overconfident or just acting emotional out there.
100%. Yeah. Speaking of risk assessment and heat, we also need to talk about
Yeah.
Canadian Gravel Nationals. So they were last weekend and they got canceled partway through due to heat. Apparently, it was around like 34 degrees Celsius on course. So again, getting into that high 90s Fahrenheit. Um, what that story doesn't tell is that it is the back roads of BC, these gravel paths where like ATVs are going to struggle to get to. So, and it was Masters Nationals in addition to Elite Nationals. So you are talking about potentially having some really sketchy situations. There were some riders already down with heat exhaustion. They were running out of like medical staff on course. They were not really, the temperatures were higher than the weather had said, so they weren't really as prepared with as much water and ice. So I think there were a lot of reasons why they did have to make the
Mm-hmm.
call for safety reasons. The initial story, definitely, I had a lot of feelings on it, where I was like, that's dumb. 34 degrees, they should have kept racing. The downside is they decided to just not award any titles. So Mike Woods had actually finished the men's race. The other few guys hadn't, and no women had finished yet. To say that people are unhappy about this.
Why? Okay, so, and there was no woman solo off the front to have like a clear winner.
There was a woman solo off the front. However, there was a chase group of 2 women, including Haley
Oh.
Smith, that were not
Oy.
that far behind her, and there was still 30K to go. So I would say it's a pretty big question mark whether she would have gotten caught or not. So it is a very tricky thing to call that. I think if they had been more prepared on the ball, they should have said, okay, the finish is now 5K up the road. Shorten it, get to that line. We're calling that. So very weird call. I feel like Cycling Canada is probably breathing a bit of a sigh of relief, though, because now at least they have a new controversy that isn't about women. It's about
the
gravel.
pursuit track. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, okay, let's talk about gravel for a while. Just ignore this track thing going on over here.
Yeah.
Thank God we have something else for people to yell at us about.
Yeah, it's almost like they have to. Our race promoters going to start coming up with plans for when this type of situation happens. How do we call? Is it best to not have any winners at all? To call who was in the front and just call it. To have a rain date for the race or an event.
How
another
hot
event.
is too hot?
Yeah.
What is the threshold and who decides?
Yeah, that's the very tricky part because, I mean, you could argue that the pros should have been allowed to keep racing because a professional racer understands the risks, should understand their body well enough to know. I completely agree with the pulling the Masters off the course. I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I do think elite riders know what they're signing up for. And I was looking at it and I was like, Ironman has been run in up to 45 degrees Celsius. And that's a 100-mile bike and a marathon.
Yeah. But I guess
they get a swim.
They do get a swim.
Didn't you say that they ran out of medical support?
It's a bit of a wilderness rescue situation.
Yeah, I think that may have to be one of the top reasons, because I think once you're out of medical support, even if it's just a pros in the field, you could maybe get in trouble if something happens.
Just curious for you two, what's the hottest ride or event you've done?
Ironman Louisville. It was 112 Fahrenheit.
Oh no,
You've done an Ironman?
I've done a couple Ironmans.
You can swim.
I can swim. I know. It's embarrassing, but I started as a triathlete.
What?
Yeah.
No, it's not embarrassing. I
thought you were a cyclocross person.
I know. Well, so this is the funny thing. I did, I was doing them both simultaneously. So I literally got back from Ironman Louisville and went to cyclocross practice 2 days later.
Really?
And was racing 2 weeks later.
She was probably the triathlete with the cleanest bike out there and cleanest and most tuned bike. Because it's one thing I hate is passing a triathlete who you can hear all the squeaky parts of their drivetrain making noises because they don't take care of their bikes.
Rosael, what's your hottest event?
No, I think maybe I've done stuff in the low 100s, but it's just been criterium racing and that sort of thing. And have I experienced heat exhaustion? I think I forget what race it was in upstate New York or Connecticut or something. I did a road race where I experienced some extreme heat that made me want to poop my pants almost at the end. But whatever. It wasn't as bad as other stuff I've seen out there.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be very interesting to see. I'm actually curious if they maybe designate another race as Canadian Nationals and try to do a redo or something.
Oh, that'd be tough.
It's
scheduling sounds hard.
Yeah, and nothing is gonna make the riders happy because the time passed. They if they made any plans to peak for that week, it's gone, and they may not be able to make the event where they're gonna do the rain date. Yeah, it's just unfortunate, but I think more races have to start thinking about these issues that we're dealing with.
Start earlier in the morning, maybe.
Well, I think that was one of the big criticisms is they knew it was going to get hot and they started the race at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, I should start earlier.
Yeah, the day, it would have been, I think, understandable the day before to say, hey, we're doing a 6 a.m. start. That's just,
sorry.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
I think people would have preferred that to, having the race canceled out from under them. So, I don't think there's a perfect answer, but it is funny. A couple of years ago, I wrote an article that was is climate change going to kill the long run? And I would say at this point, it's pretty clear that it is, in fact, going to really start messing with events.
Yeah, I would like to see more journalism just covering more of how changes in weather will start affecting more events. Because
I
yeah,
mean,
it's
it's
definitely a thing. It's ruining trails,
Mhm.
erosion because of rain and flooding.
oh, and then once it's fire season, I mean, it'd be interesting. What was a couple years ago, the tour was brutally hot,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, during the
and
pandemic in 2021, 2020, and then 2021. Yeah, we have some really
yeah,
hot
and
days.
I was in Paris the last hot day, and it's a tight, narrow packed city, not a lot of air conditioning, and it was hot.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen this year because it's only June, solstice today, so a lot of sun. But what's going to happen in August for the Fem? They're starting in Switzerland.
Yeah, I mean, what is the big deal with, at least in men's racing, with just making shorter stages so you don't have to deal with it would save money. It would be more eco-friendly, hopefully, depending on how the stages are designed. I don't know. I feel like we should just start cutting down races a little bit, starting with the men's as an experiment, just to see. Please do not experiment with women's racing anymore.
Agree.
Um,
Now, wait, here's my big question. If people are stuffing ice socks down the front of their jerseys, will they get disqualified?
oh my God.
No, because they've been doing it, haven't they? They did it last year.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah, but now.
she's bringing it up because the UCI banned like front pockets in jerseys
Right.
and what else did they ban?
Big computers.
Big
Big computers.
computers.
Which could have really helped on stage too, I don't know. Maybe Marlen Reusser needs reading glasses and couldn't read her tiny computer screen that she had to
Yeah,
be
I
UCI
don't
compliant.
even understand why they're bothered by the size of cycling computers. I don't think they're getting that.
Or
They're
Matthew
saving-
Vanderpool's nipples.
Oh my
Oh.
God, that was so well. I mean, at least they're being there's not a double standard, because they have fined female riders before for having an unzipped jersey, even if it's like out of their control because your zipper broke and stuff like that. Okay, we've seen this happen in cyclocross and road. So it's silly that he got fined for having his nipples out while he was waiting on the hot seat after being on the top on the time trial Tour de Suisse. But
Wait, do
whatever.
they actually have fined women for opening their jerseys?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
So,
I remember
so
a few
today,
years.
today Reusser was riding with an open jersey.
Yeah, I think I don't know what the rule is exactly. But I think if she had, let's say, crossed the finish line completely like sipped down
Open.
and her bra was showing, they would have done it.
Heavens.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
silly.
Also, Rosael, because we're both here, so funny seeing the coverage of everyone suddenly talking about women peeing during the women's Giro when the women got fined for peeing on the
Yeah.
side of the thing. After you and I years ago covered how women pee during the tour and got so much hate mail
Yeah.
and started like internet memes and just like
It's just we're just living the growth of women cycling in real time, and it's just silly to see these things. It's not silly, I guess it's interesting to see how that kind of conversational topic that people actually Google a lot, because one of the reasons we did that story was because it was one of the biggest SEO searches that people had for men's or women's cycling. So we wrote a story answering the question of how women pee during races, because when it's a 4-6 hour race, you will need to use a bathroom. And now, what was the feedback this time around? Or what happened at the Giro exactly?
I guess it was just the UCI was fining women for peeing like during the race, and everyone it was very positive for the women because it was everyone just being kind of mad. Like, I'm sorry, what are they supposed to do? You
I
don't
guess,
provide porta potties. Like,
yeah, exactly. The men had a similar problem where there were parts of the Giro where they could not stop and pee because of the laws of the province or whatever town they were. So they were peeing in bottles. Like Victor Campanarts of Disney Elisa Bike came up with the idea of peeing in the bidon, and other people in the peloton were, and then you can give the bidon to your teammate in the car and the staff person in the car. which is a good workaround, but that also
If
got
you're a
banned.
dude.
Yeah. And yeah, if you're a woman, you can't do that. So it's also like, yeah, if you're going to put on a race that passes through a town that doesn't allow people to pee on the side of the road, then you have to come up with a bathroom break or something. There has to be something to help people. But anyway, do we have 5 minutes to talk about US Road Nationals?
I think we should.
Please.
Because lucky for us, it happened today too. So we can also wrap it up in this recap. But the women's race at US Road Nationals was very exciting. It happened in Charleston, West Virginia. And guess what? A mountain biker turned gravel racer turned road racer, Kate Courtney, won the freaking race. Okay. So exciting. So exciting. So Kate Courtney, as you know, she's a Red Bull athlete who also races for She Stands Racing. She outsprinted road and gravel racer Lauren Steffens of Aegis and won the elite women's road title. But before that, Paige Weller, another gravel racer, she was off the front for a long time. She put on a great performance riding solo for 77 kilometers. And it was only on the final lap with like, I think it was 15 kilometers to go or something, that she was bridged by Courtney and Steffens, who had broken away from a chase group that had been chasing all that time. And Paige Weller was able to stay with them for a little bit, but Lauren Steffens put in a couple of attacks, and then Paige Weller couldn't hang on anymore. And then with 700 meters to go, Courtney launched her sprint, and she was able to hold off Lauren Steffens around the final corner. And it's the second year that Lauren Steffens is a runner-up at Road Nationals. Her teammate, however, secured third place for Team Aegis, and by winning the sprint from the chasing group. And Unweller hung on to finish a hard-fought sixth place. The race is on FloBikes, and it's probably on YouTube as well, on USA Cycling's channels. I would say go check it out. Road Nationals is not always the most exciting racing, men's or women's, because I think because, you know, the pros have to split. They have to choose whether they want to race, you know, Tour de Suisse or stay home for this. And then next week, the Europeans are going to have the same problem, or not so much the same problem because they don't have as many conflicts, but all the European national races are going to be raced next week. But if you are able to go watch the women's race, go do it. Very exciting. And Paige Weller, oh my goodness, she was amazing at Unbound. And I really thought we were going to have a gravel racer win the Road Nationals, but we had a mountain bike racer win the Road Nationals. So.
On that question, you know, put on your guys' you know, sleuthing hats. Kate Courtney, mountain biker,
yeah,
gravel racer, roadie. Why is she doing all this now?
I mean, listen, my theory is that she was struggling on XCO. I think she was struggling on XCO, not being able to figure out what she needed to change about her training, her racing to win. She was to finally win a race. She was always up there in the top 5, top 10, but for many, many years, it was a bit of disappointing because she had been a winner, you know, a serious winner 5, 6, 7 years ago, right, Molly?
Yeah, I was going to say to get back to winning races.
Yeah, to get back to winning. Sorry, yeah. She was already
2018. She won world championships, and then her season after that was phenomenal. Like,
yeah, she was
the overall World Cup winner, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, and watching seeing the commercials for Tokyo 2020, like she had a credit card commercial with MasterCard or Visa. You know, she was really up there and doing really well. And I'm not sure what happened. This is something, you know, Kate Courtney, if you want to talk to us on the podcast, we would love to hear more about this journey, because I had a short interview with her at Red Bull Rampage. No, actually Red Bull Rampage like 2 years ago. And she was starting to fidget with a lot of her equipment and her training, from what I remember in that interview. She was doing the thing where she was shortening her crank on the mountain bike and just trying different things. So like a very measured approach to just changing one thing at a time to see what is it that I need to improve. But then she also started trying different types of racing that maybe she hadn't focused so much before. Like then she did marathon, right? Like a cross-country marathon, and she won the world title. And
is that when she changed sponsors from Scott to Allied?
I think
Like,
so, because
do you
then
think
she
it? Do
went
you
to
think
win
Scott
Leadville.
was? Do you think Scott was as the brand being like they're the XE brand, right? They're like mountain bikes, we dominate forever. She was
Well, this is why we
dominant.
need to talk to her, because like sometimes the reason why an athlete haven't found out where they're good at, I don't know, XCO marathon is because their sponsor let them, given them the
Yeah.
agency to choose that type of racing. So it would be super interesting to talk to her and ask these questions, like why are you trying? Then she did Cape Epic. Go on,
Yeah.
Shawn.
Sorry, I would jump in. I have my theory too of like,
Yeah, I think she's just trying different things, and when you try a lot of different things and you're that level of an athlete, it's going to work out somewhere. And lucky her is working out in gravel and in road really well.
so my theory is LA 20, the LA games,
Mhm.
because the US gets to actually for once have a huge squad because we're the host country. And I think she wants to fill some more of those slots.
No, that could be very smart. I mean, I forget. She's only 30 years old, Kate Courtney. It's insane.
I know. Or does
So
she get, is
you're
she
thinking she'd
being
want to go for the
scouted?
road.
Yeah. Because I think like XE, I mean, I agree. She's phenomenal, but it's a different game right
No,
now.
I mean, I don't see her like Molly. What do you think? Do you think she's doing all of this to then come back to mountain biking, cross country?
No, I think she was actually kind of done with the factory racing team of it all. And that's the only way you can excel in cross-country mountain bike racing anymore is when you have the support of a factory team. You are following this rigid schedule. She's been doing that for so long that she really wanted to do her own thing. And I think she kind of almost was like bored of having that same goal every single year in, year out for like all of her career. So we actually had her, we did a Shred Girls book club where she was our like special guest back in
Cool.
January. And she was talking to the girls about goal setting and how she has changed how she looks at it and how she changed how she looks at what a team is to her and all this kind of stuff. So I think part of it's just like she's kind of at a point in her career, young as she might be, she's at a point in her career where she can go where she wants to go, right? Like she's one of the few American cyclists who probably could retire at this point and would have like I hesitate to say the money, but like frankly, the money, like the ability to do that because she's been with such great teams, she's had such great bonus structures, she's had all of the big programs, like she can sort of choose her own adventure now. And I think that's literally what she's doing is choosing her own adventure.
Is she technically a privateer? Like, I know
Yeah.
she sent as her foundation, but,
Yeah.
it's Rivian and Allied and Red
She is
Bull.
technically a privateer, yeah. Like
Yeah.
she's a very lucky privateer in that she has people behind her that kind of handle her programming and build out kind of all of she's got enough management that take care of she's probably not booking all her flights or following up on every invoice. But she is technically a privateer, which means she has the ability to do what she wants. And I think I think, Shawn, you're actually hit on a good point here. I could see her thinking about the road racing team for LA because she clearly has the chops. She's done that project with USA Cycling where she won a race over in Europe already.
Yeah. Also, do you hear the commentators and the road race they were kind of baffled that she was so good on the road.
Really?
Especially like thinking that she may not
Why?
have the skills to ride in a group or a pace line. And that's so insulting because just because you're a mountain, first of all, she's been doing a lot of gravel racing. Also, when you are a committed cyclist like she has been racing for that long, you are doing group rides all the time on your road or gravel bike all the time. You know how to ride in a group. And, with all her experience racing XCO, marathon, gravel, she can race a road race and win it. Like,
Is that just kind of a roadie versus mountain biker attitude? Like if we ask Betsy, would she give us the opposite of like, oh, you roadies on a mountain bike? Is that what we're dealing with? Or is it
I think
that's totally
unfortunately,
fair.
I think so. I feel like sometimes when you're a roadie, I don't know why, it's just very hard to consider doing any other type of riding and seeing how that would benefit your road cycling, where I find that off-road cyclists tend to be more flexible and aware of the benefits. Like if you're a gravel racer, a lot of gravel racers I know they don't exclusively just race gravel. Like they have a mountain bike, they have a road bike, like they're doing it all. Where most road racers, they may not have a mountain bike or at all.
And as we just learned today, sorry about this, Molly was a triathlete and apparently can also race cyclocross. So there defies that stereotype that, triathletes can't handle their bikes.
It's true. It's true.
And she can swim, I learned.
Yeah. Can you swim, Shawn?
Poorly.
Yeah, me too. And I come from the Caribbean. You would think I can snorkel and scuba dive, but swim, I swim like a puppy. With my face
I'm a
out of the
really good
water.
back floater, and I prefer inner tubing.
You know what? Just keep it that way. I don't recommend going down the triathlete rabbit hole. It's a bad idea. There's a reason I've backed out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, should we go ahead, Shawn?
Oh, quick plug for, our sponsor today is SRAM. We got Kate Courtney on SRAM and Marlen Reusser on SRAM.
Oh,
so
amazing.
Huge wins for them today.
Yeah. By the way, let's try to get Kate Courtney on the podcast.
100%.
I think we have a lot of questions for her.
Not a lot of answers yet.
Yeah, not a lot of answers. And then people are curious as she's coming for their candies. Oh, terrifying. She's going to be the nightmare of so many roadies and gravel racers out there. All right. Should we wrap it up here?
Let's wrap it up.
Okay, so before we sign off, we want to give a huge thank you and so much love to SRAM. Their partnership makes this show possible, and we're so grateful for their support. We've got some amazing episodes lined up for you this summer. Next week, we're sitting down with Unbound gravel champion Sofia Gomez Villafañe. So don't miss out on that episode. Yeah. And then we're going to take a little bit of a break in July, and we'll come back on the last week of July with a special feature or partnership with Swift and Rafa with another episode there around rivalries. And we'll also have a preview of the Tour de France Femme avec Swift, which starts August 1st, running through August 9th. So if you enjoyed the show, please take a second to rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. And to stay connected between episodes, find us on Instagram, Substack, at queenstage.cc. Thank you for listening.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Don't forget our Rafa Zwift ride next week.
We do have another Rafa Swift ride coming up next week on Wednesday. That will be Wednesday, June 24th. There's 6 different rides to choose from. And it's with a very special guest, Grace Brown, Olympian Grace Brown. So don't miss out and join us on Swift, all right? Thank you so much and have a great day.
Bye-bye.